we do is different bedtimes. All the sleep experts are unanimous in that if you want the best sleep, go to sleep at the same time every night, wake up at the same time every night. So many people get into trouble staying up really late Saturday night, sleep late Sunday morning, and then they can't get to sleep Sunday night. Horrible night's sleep Sunday night, and then start the work day off with a less than full night's sleep. It's a bad way to start the week. Marceau, hope you had a great weekend. My colleague Marceau joining me as always. He's in Brooklyn or Philadelphia today, I should say, and happy to have him. Marceau, hope you had a great weekend. My weekend was fantastic. Great time watching my daughter in Taekwondo Friday night, and then off to a big New Year's celebration in the Chinese community. My wife is from China, all of her family in Queens, New York. Saturday, seeing a recital, my 6-year-old daughter performing in Seussical with a musical theater school, getting to see her live performance, seeing her sing on stage was a lot of fun. Dinner party Saturday night. Sunday, lots of fun too, although I'm sad to report that my exercise habit of playing tennis Saturday morning did not include the habit of actually winning. I did lose 2 out of 3 sets in the tennis Saturday morning. And then still a great Sunday, assuming that was Sunday morning, great Sunday going ice skating with my daughter Sunday afternoon, and then watching the Grammys on Sunday evening. Now, I'm not a huge Grammys fan, and I know about as much of pop culture music as you would expect a 57-year-old guy to know about pop culture music, but I do love award shows because it's a quick way to pick up a lot of what's going on in pop culture, especially if you're not listening to the hippest, hottest playlists in town or the #1 radio stations for young people. So I do like award show, although I didn't make it past 9 o'clock or 9:30 last night with the Grammy Awards. Lots of top stories to share with you today. Coming up on the program, we'll be looking at selfie posting. Does it make you a narcissist? A new research report from graduate students at the University of Wisconsin say yes. Not a huge surprise there. I'll share with you some of their findings. Is it time to create a default day in terms of your habits? You have a lot of other defaults. You have defaults on your computer, software programs. Why not a default when it comes to your habits? Topic B, you have a financial planner. Is it time to get a habit planner for your life? And no, I'm not applying for the job. We'll be looking at affirmations for kids and going over some of the top affirmations experts recommend for kids and really delving into that subject. Should you use affirmations on your kids? I'll also be looking at other top news stories from around the globe that relate to habits. We'll be taking your calls, questions, thoughts, and text. I'll also be answering some questions from some of my online students on particular best habits practices for public speaking and telling stories. And then I'll also be sharing you something from a new segment, and this is TJ's Raw Ideas. No, it's not me in the raw. Don't get upset or nervous there. But my raw ideas, just things that I've not crystallized to the point where I can do a professionally slick video. It's not to the point where I'm doing an online course. These are ideas that are not part of a book yet. These are raw ideas still in the gestation stage. I'm tossing them out there, hoping to get feedback from you. You can tell me, hey, that's a good idea, dive deeper. Or, TJ, you're way off. That doesn't make any sense at all. You're going down a dark alley and there's no way out. I would love to hear from you on that. We are open for business and open to your comments, your questions, your thoughts. So regardless of whether you're watching us today on Facebook, Periscope, YouTube, our good friends at TikTok, very happy you're with us today. Plus we have about 5 new platforms joining us today as well. So hello to all of our new friends across the internet, across the globe. The goal of this show, if this is your first time, is to be the single biggest forum online where people can have a live exchange of ideas Monday through Friday, about how to build better habits, how to have a more fulfilled life, a happier life, by drilling down and figuring out what are the exact habits you want to have in your own life on a daily basis. That is the focus of the program. Now, we're always trying to upgrade things around here, but I don't know everything. My colleague Marceau doesn't know everything. We're going to have some hits and misses. So one of the things we're experimenting with today is new background music. Marceau, are people able to hear our background music? Are we playing?
They are, yes.
Okay.
It sounds great.
So let me just be fully transparent with you. We're in this together. I mean, we don't have millions of people watching yet. I'll be very transparent with you there. We are just beginning our 4th week of shows. So this is really just our 15th regular show so far of this whole brand new program. And the reason I want to use music is in part, I want you to feel good. I want you to come to this program, whether you come monthly, weekly, daily, or you're with us every day of the 2-hour program. When you come to this program, I want you to feel good. And music is a universal way of sort of uplifting spirits. The other reason I have music on this show, or we've added it today, is I don't want to confuse anyone. I don't want people thinking this is a political talk show or a news talk show. Typically news shows, political talk shows, cooking shows don't have background music. And I want to make it clear, nothing wrong with news programs, political talk shows. I hosted them for many, many years, decades, but this is not a news program. And it's not a political commentary program. It's a program that's just devoted to creating community around people who want to improve their habits. But I'm well aware that sometimes people find certain music irritating, annoying. The music you're hearing today was commissioned just for this show, so you shouldn't have ever heard it anyplace else. The idea of the music is not that it's so overwhelming and you're watching just for the music. The idea is you don't really notice it. It just is a part of the mix and makes you feel better about everything we're doing. But I would love to hear from you. If you like the background music, just please put a thumbs up now, or a yes, or nice music. If you find it irritating, say that. If you have a suggestion for other types of music, please let us know. We are open to experimentation, and we are currently testing and creating 3 or 4 other types of music to have as an underlay for when I am speaking for this live show, but also for our produced segments. And by the way, if you just know me from this live show and you're having a busy day and you didn't get to attend the live show, remember every single day on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, and most other platforms, we do a 7 to 10 minute best of from this program. So we look at the segment that sort of captured the most attention, and it's produced typically a little slicker, some video images in addition to having to look at my face. And that goes out on our main social media platforms, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, every single day. That's 7 days a week. So please be on the lookout for that. If you can't make the live show, or you're just busy and you can't devote 2 hours to it, but you do have a couple minutes or 5 or 7 minutes, you can always see that on the main social media platforms. We can't put the 10-minute video on TikTok, though, because there is a 1-minute restriction. But there are new habits, tips, videos every single day, 7 days a week on TikTok. So those of you who are on TikTok today watching me live, please go back to the earlier video I posted today. It's only 15 seconds long, and every day on quick habit tips. The 15-second videos you can also see every single day on Snapchat, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, and 1 or 2 of my Facebook groups. So thanks so much for that. Marceau, how does the music sound to you at this point? I know we've had a day or two to think about it.
Sounds ambient and it's like a nice Great. We'll play around with the different, I guess genres and feels when we get more beats in from the guy.
Okay. And any other feedback? Again, we want to hear from you. Do you like the music? Do you think it's a stupid idea? Maybe you like the idea of music for a show like this, but you don't particularly like this music. You're not going to hurt our feelings. Marceau and I are not the music composers. So if you don't like this music, feel free to share it with us. You're not going to be seen as overly negative. We're looking for ways of attracting you and others and making you feel comfortable and relaxed here. We're not looking for ways of pushing you away. And that applies to our backdrop. Again, this is my living room here, but it's a video image of my living room. It's not actually my living room. I'm in a TV studio in the first floor of my home, and this is just a TV screen. So that's what's coming up today, plus your calls. And I say calls, you can record yourself speaking and post a video, preferably to our Facebook page. If you're not on the Facebook page, just go to facebook.com, type in TJ Walker Personal Development or Personal Development Trainer. That will take you to my main public page. We broadcast there live every day as one of our 15 or 20 channels that we're on live. And you can post a comment right there and we can play it right into the show. And we can see you and hear you as well. So if you want to participate that way, feel free to. Also, you can just type in a question, a comment, a text anywhere, or you can tweet it. Very simple to find me on Twitter as well. I'm TJ Walker. I want to thank you for joining me today. Lots of fun, excitement coming up. First thing I just wanted to grab at in the news, this caught my eye, a new study out. I love my selfie, an investigation of overt and covert narcissism to understand self-posting behaviors within 3 geographic communities, authored by several academics. And this was published in a scientific journal called Computers in Human Behavior. What they did is they tried to look at insights in self-posting behavior on social networking websites. The findings indicate that posting selfies is associated with some forms of narcissism, but not others. It also appears to differ based on geographic regions. Now, I have a few quibbles with the study. Part of me thinks that when the researchers, the academics, presumably in search of tenure or getting their PhDs, wrote a very sort of attention-grabbing headline, I love my selfies, an investigation of overt and covert narcissism. That's definitely clickbait. And you know what? I fell for it. I clicked on it. So I guess you could say it worked. Now they have a lot of research here. They looked at people from across the United States and Lebanon, which is a fantastic country. I have had the privilege of going there, conducting personal development and public speaking workshops on several occasions. But the researchers looked at 470 Americans, 260 Lebanese students, and they looked at various measures of narcissistic traits based on how often and what types of posts people do on Facebook and Instagram. Here's a quote from the site SciPost that did research or did an excerpt of this story. Although narcissism is a complex personality characteristic, it can predict some online behaviors in certain circumstances. In particular, grandiose narcissism, which describes an overinflated ego and a sense of importance, was positively associated with posting selfies online. Now, at some level, this does seem to be blatantly stating the obvious. People who are narcissistic, who think about me all the time. Aren't I great? Aren't I wonderful? Look at me. It's hard to imagine that they wouldn't post selfies of themselves regularly and frequently. If not their actual face, then some idea they have. Now, I'm someone who traditionally, I do go in spurts on my own social media accounts, my personal ones. I'll show pictures of my family, friends. If I'm in a really interesting place, I might. But I might not post for a month sometimes, other than a short little squib. Lately, I've been posting more because I'm posting videos and quotes about habits, because I'm essentially creating a whole media business revolving around online training, helping people get more habits. Perhaps this sounds like I'm protesting too much, trying to make the case that I'm not a narcissist. I'll let you decide there. Narcissism, of course, in the news a great deal in the United States because of a certain political leader. I'm not going to mention his or her name, but there's certainly a school of thought that a very high-ranking, shall we say, political official in the United States does suffer from a severe and extreme case of narcissistic personality disorder, where someone can only think of themselves, not think of harm to anyone else, not think of ever potentially being wrong, not seeking other viewpoints, and being completely immune to suffering of others or even creating the suffering of others. That's a sort of a classic definition of narcissism. And again, we're not a political show. I'm not even going to mention the name that some say might have those characteristics. But it is interesting in the modern culture we live in, where if you are a narcissist, there's never been a better time. It is a golden era for narcissists. You can take pictures of yourself all day long. You could put a video of yourself talking all day long on 20 different platforms, or for 2 hours a day, and oops, that one cut a little too close to home, I guess. What do you think? Do you have a friend, family member, colleague, former friend who you think is a narcissist because they just keep putting pictures of themselves up? One place where I draw the line is this habit of being afraid to ever even walk out the door unless you're perfectly made up, everything looking good, perfect clothes, all of that, because you're so afraid of taking your picture or a video where someone else might see it and you're less than perfect. Now, I certainly have flaws, and as I mentioned to you last week, maybe we'll have my wife on one day and she can talk for a couple hours listing my bad habits. But one thing I'm not guilty of is being so narcissistic that I have to have perfect hair, makeup, and great new clothes every time I do a video or take a picture. In fact, just recently I share with you, one of the critics wrote to me on TikTok saying, TJ, you're wearing the same sweater every day for 6 days. Put on a new sweater. I hadn't really thought about it. Recently, I've been getting in the habit of doing videos in the morning at 7 a.m. for TikTok, Instagram, and others, because the research shows that that is the most popular time for my viewers, the community here who likes the short videos, to go online and watch a quick 15-second video on TikTok and elsewhere. So I've been doing these at 7 a.m. Well, at 7 a.m. I haven't taken a shower or shaven or put on anything other than the t-shirt I slept in. So I've been doing my videos just in a $5 black t-shirt, unshaven, no makeup. And what I've noticed the last few days, nobody cared. Nobody noticed. In fact, the video I did yesterday had many thousands of views more than a typical day, even if I'd gotten all cleaned up and had makeup on. So that's where I draw the line. Of course, people always like to draw lines to prove the point that they're not a narcissist. So you can take that with a grain of salt. How often do you post? And if you are posting, how often is it something that's just a picture or image that makes you look good, as opposed to putting a spotlight on a particular idea? I'd like to know. Please drop a note wherever you are. And also, if you are on a platform for the first time today, it may be that's the first time we've ever broadcast on that platform. So please drop us a line and let us know where you're watching from. Marcia, do we have anyone joining us on, is it Instagram today? It looks like Remco has joined us. Kucher has joined us today. On TikTok, we have Lucky16 Yo, was up, dog. Okay, everything is good here. Thanks so much for checking in. And Midcan has joined us on Instagram. And I see what it looks like a smiley face on Instagram. And for those of you who have joined us, let me know, are you even noticing the background music? If so, do you like it? Do you have any suggestions? I would love to hear from you. Our good friend from South India has joined us, Sai, who is a prominent trainer based in southern India, is joined us. He says, hi, sir. And it's always so polite, too. No one has to call me sir, but I'd be lying if I said I was offended or bothered by it. Sai writes in, and let's check in with some of our friends over on Facebook today. Facebook is one of our more prominent places, and it's frankly an easy place for most people to find since we often spend so much time on Facebook. Mohammed, one of our good regulars, I believe from Egypt, is with us today. Thanks so much. Peggy signs in. Peggy, good to hear from you. Hope all of your courses are going well. And happy Monday to you as well. Peggy says, let's see who else has written in.
Sorry, hold on.
Marceau is responding to our friend. By the way, sometimes you may have a message to Marceau. You want to get a message to me and you think I won't see it. Well, during the show, I probably won't. So there's nothing wrong with just leaving a comment to Marceau on any of the social media platforms too, and he can pass that on. Or if you want to say to him, hey, the music is way too loud, if it's something technical, just send a comment directly to Marceau. He would love to hear from you on that as well. Okay. So Sai writes in and says hello to everyone, and the notation on Facebook says that Sai is a top fan, and that is absolutely correct. The artificial intelligence experts at Facebook have once again nailed it perfectly. Peggy says, I like the music, very soothing. It's not too loud to distract. Well, Peggy, that is exactly what I was hoping for. Had no idea whether I'd get it right or not. I know from hosting a lot of talk radio shows in the past, it seemed like any music I used for intros, outros, bumpers would bother somebody and would annoy someone. So it's a difficult thing because everybody has an opinion on music. So Peggy, we appreciate yours. If you don't agree with Peggy, that's okay too. We'd still love to hear from you because we're still tweaking. We're fine-tuning this show and we want to get it just right. Mohammed writes, I usually post my selfies alone once a quarter. Well, I think that definitely would define you as not a narcissist, at least with respect to your social media habits. Once a quarter, unless you mean once a quarter of an hour, I think that's probably a very limited, moderate use of posting, of putting posties out on social media. So Mohammed, it certainly doesn't sound like you have any problem there. Okay, we are going to continue taking your calls, your comments, your thoughts, your videos if you want to send them in, and your text comments. I'm going to hop right into topic A, the first big monologue of the show. If I don't come to you right away, it's not because I'm slighting you. We just want to get this down because parts of this show are then repackaged and edited into 9-10-minute segments that go out on places like YouTube and LinkedIn and Facebook. So now it's time for topic A. Is it time to create your default day? Look, I realize you can't control every day and every minute of your day, but let's face it, once you weed out big vacations, horrible days where someone dies or you're in a car crash, once you weed out weekends and special time off, sick days, there's an awful lot of days in anybody's life that are like any other day. Do you really want it to just happen randomly? Do you really want to go through your day using habits that occur just because a cue has randomly popped up? Oh, you drive by a Starbucks, you see the image of the Starbucks lady, so you go in and buy Starbucks. I've done that before, but is that how you want your day to go? Do you want to give all your power to others? I believe it's high time that you craft your own default day. Doesn't mean you get to follow it 100% every single day, but to have some plan for what the ideal average day. I don't mean ideal day in the sense of, oh, I'm in Tahiti, I'm in this beautiful resort, I'm with this beautiful other person. I don't mean that kind of fantasy. I mean your default average day. What is it like? Because there's so many habits you're going to go through in a typical day, whether you realize it or not. There's some experts that say, Duke University came out with a study in about 2006 saying 43% of everything you do in a day is a habit. I've seen other estimates as high as 80%. Depending on how you define habit, you could go as far as to say 99% of what most people do in a typical day is just going through the motions of a habit. When I say habit, I mean typically things you can do without having to give any conscious thought to it, or at least very little thought. So I recommend you come up with a default day for yourself. First thing I do, and this sounds cheesy, it sounds silly, I laughed the first time I saw somebody recommend this, but I now do it. It's a nice way to start a day. When I get up out of bed, I put my feet on the ground and I say, it's going to be a great day. I put a smile on my face, I give myself a fist pump. It takes 1 second, but it just starts this mental imprint of looking in the right way, getting up on the so-called right side of the bed. It's a tiny little thing, but it is a start. So that's default for me now. It's one of my habits. It's in my Selfie Speak program. It's in my checklist on my phone in a text format. That's how I start my day. And then I try to design my day of what I'm going to do from there. Typically, I am going to write 500 to 1,000 words for content for my show, for my online courses, for books, all about habits. I do meditation for just 10 minutes a day, nothing excessive. It's not 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours at night. It's a 10-minute short meditation session that I do, listening to my own voice guiding me through a meditation process of just simple mindfulness, thinking about breathing in, breathing out. I then listen to my Selfie Speak program. I give myself very specific limits of I'm only going to read news for 30 minutes a day. I then go right into at least 15 minutes of reading information about habits. I then go through my checklist. I then have a healthy breakfast. It's either going to be a vegetable omelet or it's going to be granola with a lot of fresh fruit on top. I'm going to have 1 cup of coffee, not 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cups like I used to, but 1 cup. So that takes me up through about 9 a.m. So if I get up at 6 o'clock, that takes me till about 9. Now that also includes spending some time with my daughter, sometimes having breakfast with her, putting her on the bus, spending a little time with my family. And so there's a lot that goes on in those first 3 hours, but that's my default day. Your default may look completely different. I realize you may have to get up at 5 a.m. and be catching a bus at 5:20 to go work in another city because that is the only economic opportunity for you. But you still have the opportunity to define the default things you do on a regular basis. So for example, when you get on that bus for your 2-hour commute, are you just going to listen to top 40 pop culture music? I like music, I listen to music, but if that's what you do for 2 hours a day, is that really the best way to design your day? You could spend half of that time listening to an audiobook, which is one of the things on my to-do list every single day. You could spend some of that time reading a book off of Kindle or Amazon or Google Books for free. You could spend a part of that commute time every single day reading a book. You have even less time than that. You could spend just 30 seconds reading a quote, a thought-provoking little bit of philosophy once a day. There's a lot of apps for that I put them out on my own social media. You could spend 10 seconds a day reading a joke. Something I do typically before 9 a.m. every day is I read one joke. Just a little chuckle. Do I learn a tremendous number of ideas from it? No, but it just puts me in a good frame of mind, a good mood. Ronald Reagan, a former United States president, and believe me, I'm not endorsing his policies, we're not talking politics here. He was well known for starting meetings with a joke and asking his chief of staff to tell him a joke first thing in the morning. He liked to be upbeat. He liked to be positive, and he liked that positive, warm nature to come through with everything he did. There's no denying this was a huge asset in his political career. It was a huge asset in his ability to sell his ideas because he just looked happy and pleasant and upbeat at all times. I feel like I'm more productive when I'm happy. All the research shows that human beings get more done. They get more work done when they're happy. If we're sad, depressed, bummed out, feeling bleh, it's a lot easier to fool ourselves and say, let me just check email. Next thing you know, okay, you did answer your email box, but you spent the 2 most productive hours of your whole day, maybe from 9 to 11, just answering email. That's stuff you could have done at 3:30 when you've already accomplished the major significant thought work of the day, and maybe your brain isn't quite as sharp, but it's sharp enough to just answer email. So I'm asking you, what is your default day? And if you're like most people, unfortunately, you may think, never really thought of it that way. I like to exercise in the morning, or most important work I got to do there, but it's just one little piece. I want you to think about how you lay out your everyday. This is something I've given a lot of thought to ever since really deciding to focus on habits about a year ago as my subspecialty within the personal development space. So I can tell you, I do not have every minute of the day blocked out. There are some people who swear by, if not every minute, every 5-minute interval in their day. To me, that would make me feel like a prisoner. But I do like blocking out by the hour. You ask me what I do any hour of the day, and I can tell you what I have planned. Does it occasionally verge into something? Sure. But I can just tell you what I have planned. From time I get up till about 9, that is time to do some exercise, eat healthy, stretching, meditation, listening to my Selfie Speak program, a lot of other things, even writing a poem, as some of you know. 9 to noon, I spend in deep work, creating online courses for you, doing research. Noon to 1 is the final hour of preparation for this show. From 1 to 3, I'm doing a live show with you. From 3 to 4, I'm doing things like having a post-mortem on the show with Marceau, and we ask ourselves, what do we like? What do we not like? What can improve? That's also when I try to do email, go through my database, and return phone calls from people looking to hire me for a personal development workshop or looking for a new habits-based online course. So I'm doing my correspondence there. And then what I try to do in my perfect default day, 3:59, turn off my computer. That's signaling to my brain and everything else, it's time to end the regular work day. At 4 o'clock, I go for a long walk, typically hour and 15 minutes. And this is probably the most productive time of my day, because that's when I have ideas. That's when I figure out what kind of topics might I want to do in the show tomorrow. Where is my next course going to come from? And it's my time for digital detox. No cell phones allowed, no tablets allowed on my walk. It's a way to get away from media and content and the internet completely for an hour and 15 minutes every day. After that, I come home. It is some time to spend with daughter, family, and light reading time. 6 o'clock is typically the dinner hour, 7 to 8, family time, also some reading time. 8 to 9, I try to watch some sort of short comedy, stand-up comedy, something fun, entertainment related. And then 9 to 10, I'm reading a book, typically about habits or personal development, lights out. That's my default day. That may sound like the worst possible day ever in your life. That's okay. I'm just leading my own life. But what is your default day? If you don't have one, you're giving that power to somebody else. You need to define your default day and the habits you want to be a part of it. I'm TJ Walker. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for listening to the opening monologue on topic A. And forgive me for leaving some of you hanging there. I know some of you have written in with comments and posts. Let's switch over to Facebook and what new comments have come in. It looks like William Dade has joined. Rosie Devereaux has joined us as well. Thanks for joining us. Narish Kumar has joined us as well. And then someone else has joined. Forgive me, but the Facebook, well, it's not Facebook's problem, it's my own ignorance. I don't read Arabic and it appears to be written in Arabic. So I do see you and very much appreciate you. We have a huge following in the Middle East. We have, I think, out of 190 some countries in the world, typically I have about the number 5th place as far as my online students, and people who come to our social media are from Egypt. So wonderful community of people who really care about personal development and forming positive habits in Egypt. And I have to say, I have a lot of friends, colleagues, business associates, and clients in Qatar, in Dubai, in other Emirates as well. So, and a lot of folks from Saudi Arabia, believe it or not, although they might not be getting this on YouTube, there are other social media platforms. So always happy to hear from people in the Middle East, whether Arabic is your first language, or Tagalog, or German, or French. We're happy to have you, and especially happy if you've gone out of your way to learn English, because unfortunately I'm one of these ugly Americans and I only speak English, although Espanol un poquito, but not well enough to host a show in Spanish. Mohammed writes, yeah, reading a book for 75%, music 20%, and call with mom 5%. That's what I do. Mohammed, is this an answer to how you structure your day, your default day? But that sounds like a pretty good day. And if we could scroll, I think I missed the rest of what Mohammed said, Marcel, if you could scroll back to him.
No, that was it.
Okay, that was it. Toby has joined us as well. Toby, thanks for joining us.
Peggy wrote a book.
And Sunu has joined us. Peggy, thanks for stopping by and giving your insights. I have my week's schedule printed out each week, blocked out by 1 hour increments. Well, I'm impressed for several reasons. Number one, that you would do that. I've never been that disciplined. Number two, the fact that you could schedule out your whole week in hour increments and put us on that schedule for hour increments. That definitely warms my heart, Peggy. So thanks so much. I make time for writing my book, working on my online course, making videos, and research. With this new year, I've included blocking time for brain games and getting up and moving. Some days I get to everything, sometimes I don't. Well, Peggy, it sounds like you're absolutely on the right track. I especially like your emphasis on moving. One area where I quibble with a lot of my fellow experts in the habit world is there's so much emphasis on go to the gym, go to the gym, go to the gym. You know, get motivated. Set your alarm for 4:30 a.m. and drive 20 minutes to a gym. So many habits experts act like that's the holy grail of good habitry. I don't think that's a word, but going to the gym. To me, the focus should not be going on to the gym. The key should be movement. The biggest problem most human beings have in the modern, advanced, industrialized, tech-savvy, internet-connected world is we sit on our butts all day long. And you can go to the gym 3 times a week and go on the treadmill for 45 minutes. If you're just sitting down all day long every second of the day. Other than that, you're still probably going to be really out of shape. There's just not enough movement. So for me, it's far more important that I move at least 12,500 steps per day than it is going to the gym. And I know some of you have heard me say this, I don't go to a gym other than I have a small gym in my home. So I do use the weight machine there and the treadmill and perfect push-up machine and a pull-up bar, but I hate going to gyms. It just takes too long. It takes too much motivation to figure out how do I get in the car and go there. Or when I lived in the city, getting a whole bag together and going somewhere and finding it. To me, that's just too much wasted energy. If you want to feel good, if you want to strengthen your body, if you want to have energy, just move more. And it can be as simple as you're going to the movies where you're going to be sitting down at a theater, you're going to the grocery store. Don't waste 5 minutes of time driving to get that closest parking space. No, just park the first parking space you see that's relatively far away from the entrance. Park, you don't waste any time looking for a parking space. You don't waste any time getting stuck waiting for someone to back out. You just park and walk. And okay, sure, maybe if you're in a really large parking lot, it's a 4-minute walk. Is that going to kill you? No, chances are it will help you. It will add years to your life. If you're looking for every opportunity to move, you're going to feel better. You're going to feel more energetic. You will burn some more calories. Now, it's not going to entitle you to have a 4,000 calorie dinner, which unfortunately is what you get if you go to a lot of restaurants like the Cheesecake Factory. But it's a lot better than no movement. So, Peggy, thank you for sharing that. And we'd love to hear from other people's schedules. What is your default day? We have a few other comments. So Marceau has added a few things. Sai says he likes to read. He's read 1,001 Ways to Help Your Public Speaking, which is one of my books. And by the way, thanks for mentioning that, Sai. If anyone is interested in that book, I no longer sell that book, but I do give it away to my friends. And if you're watching this show, you are one of my friends. So if you would like a copy of the book, 1,001 Ways to Wow Speaking and Media Audiences, this was one of my very first books, first one in the personal development space. I'll email you the PDF version at absolutely no charge. So just post a comment and let me know if you like it. Apparently, Sai's getting some value out of it. It's a very simple book. I like sharing it with people in part to motivate you to write your own book. This was my first book, and it was just tips, 1-2 sentence tips on public speaking. Something I basically cut and pasted from notes I had, and I did it in a weekend. But it gave me credibility 20-some years ago when I was starting my career as a public speaking coach. That was my entryway into the whole personal development space. So don't kid yourself and fool yourself into thinking, I can't possibly write a book, I don't have great literary flair. All I did was do 1,001 little sentences. And you don't have to do 1,001 tips. You could do 101 tips. The great tips you could do, 50 tips. It doesn't have to be that long, although when it's only 1,000 sentences, that's not long at all. I'm TJ Walker. I want to thank you for joining me today. We have a lot of great segments, stories coming up, still more than half of the show. We have the entire second hour of the show coming up, plus your comments, your emails, your posts on social media. Anytime you want to share an idea, you may be watching this on demand, or you've backed up and the show's over by the time you're watching this, and I didn't get to see your comment. You can always email me, tj@tjwalker.com, and I will share your ideas, your thoughts, your concerns with the audience, and I'll answer that. And by the way, this show is basically a 2-for-1 show because it's a live stream show about habits for anyone in the world interested in building their habits. But this show is also my live teacher office hours for all of my online students. So when my students have questions, comments, thoughts, about any of the personal development courses of mine they're in, the habits courses, the public speaking courses, they can post their comments and I'll answer them in real time. So here's a question that came from Shruti just a few hours ago. She is one of my students in the online platform udemy.com. I have a question. If I need to speak on any topics and I cannot find stories from my personal life, is it appropriate to use stories from around the world that are not set in the corporate world? Say a story about a deep sea diver, or say a farmer, or even an eagle soaring high. Please give suggestions as to what should be done in this situation. Thank you, Shruti. Well, Shruti, this is a very common question I get, so you're not alone if you feel like, wow, I don't have the greatest stories for my speech, whether it's a business presentation or if you work for a United Nations organization or even in school, you feel like you don't have a great story. A lot of times we compare our stories to the great motivational speakers of all time where they talk about a near-death experience. It doesn't have to be that dramatic. A story can just be you recounting a real conversation you had with a real person about a real problem, how it was dealt with, how you felt, what your emotions were, and how it was resolved. That's all a story is. So let's not overcomplicate it. I have business people who are product salespersons telling me that they don't have stories, and I always ask them, so you've never had a conversation with a real client about a problem? Oh, of course so, all the time. Tell me about one. You've never had a conversation with a real colleague or customer about a problem and how they were feeling and frustration? What did they say? Don't summarize what they said. Actually, play the dialogue back and recount that. That's what's going to be more. It doesn't have to be that dramatic. So here's what I'm talking about, which you don't want to do. Earlier today, I was thinking of contacting my colleague Marceau. I noticed that one of our videos that was supposed to go up didn't make it on Facebook today, and I expressed my displeasure. He later informed me that it had gone up at the right time. I wasn't reading correctly. That's boring. That's not a story. A story, first of all, needs to focus on a point. So let's say I'm trying to convey the point of anything you do for an audience, you need to double check, triple check to make sure it's really reaching your audience the way you want it. Let's say that's the point. I might illustrate that with a story. So, for example, this morning I did as I always do. I went to all my social media sites. I went to YouTube, typed in my name, and there was the video for the day, posted right at 9 o'clock. I'm thinking, great, relaxed, wonderful. Then I went to Facebook, and I saw Facebook, most recent video was yesterday. It's been 24 hours. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm spending all my time, energy, effort trying to get videos up. So I called up Marceau and said, Marceau, what's the problem? Where's our video for today? You were supposed to post a video for today. Where is it? He said, calm down, TJ, calm down. A video was posted 1 hour ago. And I looked at it and I clicked further, and sure enough, it had been posted 1 hour before. And another one had been posted the day before. And then I went back to it and I said, well, okay, I'm sorry, Marceau, I messed up. I realize now. One part of the Facebook interface for me showed that the video had been posted yesterday. So it said I had nothing posted today. And Marceau just said, well, that may have been when we uploaded the video, but it wasn't shown to the whole world. It didn't go live until an hour ago. We're in good shape. I said, fantastic. You're doing a great job. Keep it up. Sorry, I made the wrong conclusion. That's a story. There's nothing particularly dramatic about it, but it had a character, me, another character, Marceau, had some dialogue, had my feelings, had a little emotion in it, a little bit of a setting, a few things you could visualize with the videos, and it had a resolution. That's all a story is, Shruti. So I want you to really dig deeply to see if you don't have these stories already in your grab bag, your own database of experiences when it comes to anything you're talking about for business, social, political, civic life, chances are the stories are already there. Here's the real danger. If you want to talk about a soaring eagle, and it's not your eagle, an eagle didn't come and splat on your head, it's very hard to talk about a generic story without it sounding canned, phony, contrived. People thinking, oh, they're just giving us some general stuff from a motivational speaking handbook, and before you know it, they'll be talking about the starfish or the walking along the beach and the 4 feet become 2 feet type of thing. Stories people have heard. That is so much harder to do and have it come across well with your audience, because the standards go way up if they think you are using some other established story. If they've already heard it before, you've destroyed the element of surprise. I'm not saying never do it. Some of you heard me last week, the great Anthony Robbins, who is a fantastic public speaker. I might not agree with him on every aspect of personal development or everything else about his life, but I do think that in general, he gives good advice most of the time, and that he's a great speaker. Well, I've seen him speak at his rallies before. He will sometimes use stories from other people's lives. He'll talk about Sylvester Stallone and all the things he did, selling his dog, buying his dog, everything he had to do to keep the rights to make the movie Rocky on his own terms. And he does it in a very compelling way. You can probably go to YouTube now and look that up, and you can see Anthony Robbins telling the Sylvester Stallone story. So you can do it, but I want to make life easy for you. It's actually much easier to simply tell a story about something going on in your own life. You're not having to think of something new. You're not having to memorize it. You just relive an actual experience. Someone asked me, what's the worst thing that's happened recently for you on a talk show? I can say, back in November, Marceau and I were doing a show, testing a show, and the smoke alarm went off right in the middle of the show. And I said, Marceau, what's that? He's looking around. I don't know what's going on. And we had to say, we're going to take a quick timeout. And we took a timeout, and he and I are scrambling around. And I'm trying to figure out, how can I open some windows and close the glass fronts of my fireplace. This fireplace you see right behind me has a glass enclosure, and it happened to be open. So once I closed it, the smoke couldn't get out and set off the smoke alarm. And you know what? We just kept on going. We came back, and we kept on going. Then again, did I even remember that correctly, Marceau? Because maybe we didn't think to take a time out. Maybe we just dealt with it live and kept going.
No, we were scrambling around. It was hilarious.
Okay.
Hilarious thing I've ever seen.
And that's one of the reasons why people like live TV and live radio. And anytime you see a politician get angry, tear their microphone off and storm off, that always gets about 10,000 times more views for any TV show, because people like the live, unexpected drama. They can see it, relate to it, feel it, touch it. That's what makes for good stories. So don't worry about making yourself perfect or a perfect story or memorizing it in the perfect way. Any story generally is more interesting than just dumping data to people. The number one habit you can have if you want to be a great communicator is to illustrate every single important point with a story. If you do that, you will be far and away the best speaker most people in that audience have ever seen in their life. You'll certainly be the best speaker they've seen that day. So keep it in mind. It doesn't have to be perfect. One big mistake many people make when they're telling stories is they try to make themselves into the hero. That gets tedious, it gets annoying, it gets too predictable. Far better off to make yourself the person who messes up, who screws up. People will like you more, you'll be more relatable, and your messages will resonate more. Because if you can screw up, learn from it, and come out okay, then there's hope for everyone else. Many speakers want to think it's, well, I'm promoting my business, so I have to showcase how smart I am, so you should hire me. Occasionally you can do that. But if you're too consistently talking about, look how great I am, look how I'm the hero of the story, it annoys people, and it kind of reverts back to what we were talking about earlier in this segment, narcissism. You will seem like a narcissist if every story is about how you did well. That's why if you've had a chance to spend some time with us in the last 3 weeks, you may notice a lot of times, if not most of the time, I talk about where I screw up. I was the one who made the fire too big and smoke was coming out. I'm the one who mistakenly thought the video didn't go up yesterday. I'm the one who, in my worst media experience ever, and someone pulled a gun on me, froze, panicked, and didn't say a thing. I'm the one who's gotten fired from jobs for things I said to the media because I didn't follow good practices when it comes to how to package sound bites. So I certainly find with my own audiences, the more I talk about my mistakes and how I learn from it and how they can learn from my mistakes, infinitely more powerful than me just talking about how great I am or how wonderful I am, because that gets old in a big hurry. But Shruti, thanks again for your questions and comments. And I would put out the invitation to all of my online students. And you may think of yourself as a informal online student just by attending this live stream, and you are. That's great. So I'm here to answer your questions too. But I have a lot of other students who've paid very specific amounts of money to attend structured online courses with homework. So if you have questions about the homework, your assignment, anything related to any of my personal development courses, habit courses, or communication courses, you can send me your questions and I will answer you in detail right here. Let's check in. We're about to break at the top of the hour, but let's just check in briefly with some of our friends on Facebook. Masai Daniel has joined us. Lowell has joined us as well. El Amin Jallo has joined us. And it looks like Meta Bellini has joined us too. So Muhammad writes, absolutely, you're right about telling your own stories. It's easy to tell and elaborate and recall. Moreover, that would be your very own thoughts, very true and original. So I do think a story doesn't have to be funny, doesn't have to be overly dramatic, it doesn't have to involve you getting fired or somebody pulling a gun on you. If it's a story and it brings to life some message that's interesting and relevant to your audience, they'll like it. Chances are you'll be perceived as an interesting, memorable speaker. Miel has joined us as well. Foster has joined us as well. Quick programming note to some of our friends on Instagram and others, we have to break the feed at the top of the hour. It'll only be for a few seconds. At the top of the hour, we take a 3-minute break here. So we resume at 3 minutes past the hour. Here in New York, that would be 3 minutes past 2 o'clock. We'll be going to until 3 p.m. Eastern Time. So we have an entire additional hour. So please don't think we've abandoned you. Don't think this is only a 1-hour show. We're not abandoning you. We're not going anywhere. We have a lot more top news segments related to habits coming up, some more of my commentaries and perspectives, some really early ideas I'm working on when it comes to helping people with habits that I want to share with you. That plus your comments, your questions, your agenda, and everything else. So lots more to come. If you're bored in the break, can I ask you a favor? Please share this show with another friend. Let a friend know. Send an email to a friend, a text, ask them to tune in. And if you don't have time for the show, please check out our regular videos. Every single day there's a new video on YouTube. Every single day there's a new video and other philosophical quotes posted on my Facebook page. Every day there's a new video on TikTok. So during the break, if you are looking for something to do, please check out some of the other videos and postings we have anywhere and everywhere in social media. I'm TJ Walker, back in just a few minutes. Welcome back to The Habit Influencer. I'm your host, TJ Walker. This is the program where we talk about habits and give tips and tricks and hacks and tools to help you build the strongest habits you can have in life. Habits that will lead to a more fulfilled life, a healthier life, a happier life for you. This is about personal habits, so it's not about how government officials can reduce smoking. That's a great goal, and there's been successes all over the globe on that. But this is about personal habits, how you can have an impact on the most important audience you'll ever speak to, yourself. I'm your host, TJ Walker. This is hour 2. We are live. It is January 27th, Monday, 2020. It's kind of a damp, slightly dreary day here in Long Island today. Not the most pleasant of weather. We haven't really had a good snowy full winter day yet. Just a little bit of snow weekend before last. Just enough to go sledding with my daughter, although not without getting a lot of mud on me. I do hope we get at least one good snow because I do like sledding and haven't yet gotten up skiing yet for the year, although I typically do a few times every single year. What habits do you want to improve? What are you looking to change in your life to create a more fulfilled life? That's what we're about right here. I've got a lot of top news stories to go over with you today that relate to habits, some of my own analyses and training techniques that I work on that I share with clients around the world, plus your concerns, your questions, and comments. All that and more coming up in hour 2 of The Habit Influencer. Now, coming up, topic B for the show. You have a life planner. Perhaps you might have you know what, I'm going to do something I've never actually done on this program before. I don't recommend it with public speaking. But we are using this show in part as a rough draft for some of our produced videos. So I actually messed up the opening there. Normally I wouldn't comment on it, I would just keep going. But I want to make it easier for my colleague Marceau when he's editing. So I'm going to just do a take 2 on that. I wouldn't recommend doing that. I wouldn't recommend doing this if it's a speech or a live meeting interview. But we're a little more informal here, and I'm being transparent with you on what we're doing. So that's why I'm doing that. Topic B. You already have a financial planner, right? You might have a personal trainer to help you with a gym routine, but why not a habit planner for every aspect of your life? So many of us believe in outside coaching, consulting for certain niches of our life. You have a good financial planner long enough, and then you might need an estate planner because you've got so much money and you want to avoid taxes and you want to give money to your children and grandchildren. We're big fans of planners, most of us, but there's one big hole that I see, and that hole is in the most important thing we do with our lives, our daily habits. You might plan your finances here, you might plan your workout here, you might even hire a dietitian to help plan your menu, but what puts it all together? I think it's time for you to hire a habit planner. Now, I don't mean me. I mean someone who's closer to the subject, someone who knows you a lot better than I do. I'm speaking, of course, of you. You need to become your own habit planner. You need to hire yourself for the job. No one is going to benefit more from you doing a good job at this than you. But you need to take it seriously. So many people who take their job seriously, taking their car in for servicing regularly, they take that seriously. And yet when it comes to the most mundane yet time-consuming aspects of their life, it's just a reaction. Somebody calls you, you're bored, and what do? You might start a solitaire game or some other game. The phone call ends, and there you are playing on your phone for the next half an hour. You just wasted a tremendous amount of time. You need to plan your own habits. I'll tell you exactly how I do it. I have a list right here on my cell phone, and I go every single morning. I just go to the notes section, and I have morning personal development, and I have 60 notes. These are 60, it's all 1, 2, 3, maybe 5 or 6 words, a sentence at most, of something I'm going to do. So for example, at 9 a.m. today, I fill this one out. Wait, I weigh myself every single day. It's a very standard management axiom. You don't improve anything that doesn't get measured. What gets measured gets improved, gets monitored. You can fix that. I weigh myself every single day. It's on here. You need to have something for you. Might not care about your weight. You may have the perfect weight every day and you don't even think about it, and you weigh yourself once every year when you're at your annual physical for a doctor. Okay. But you need to plan. I have a plan here. It may be too many plans for you. It might not be the right plan for you, but I have a plan. And I have hired myself to be my own habit planner. I have everything I want to do in the morning here in a checklist of 100 different things. Things I want to do. For example, I have every single day starting off with 20 jumping jacks. Is that going to get me into the Olympics? No. But it gets me going, gets the blood pumping. It makes me feel like I'm in kindergarten in a good way. And you know what? It takes 20 seconds. You can't tell me you don't have 20 seconds. So I have planned my day. So I'm going through this list. This is part of what I do each morning. This is typically around 7:30 mark after I've done meditation, after I've listened to my Selfie Speak program. And I have things, as I've mentioned to you, write 500 words per day. And I have today's date, the 27th, and I have a W for win. I know I did it, and I did it the 26th, and I did it every single day. And this is a habit I've not been doing that long. I've gone on and off for years writing, and there have been times in my life where I did write 7 days a week. I've only gotten into this habit, again, since December 18th. That's the blink of an eye, but I've already written about 40,000 words. That's longer than a lot of best-selling books already, and that's a habit I've only done since December 18th of 2019. So that's a highly specific example of how I decided to take control of my habits. And of course, the most important habit of all is I just go to my utilities every morning. I go to my voice memo and I hit the Selfie Speak programming. And the first 10 minutes is my meditation. And then the next 20 minutes is just me. Daily Selfie Speak programming. You are going to program yourself. I talk to myself like I am my own client, and I tell myself how I want to program myself. Someday maybe I'll play this whole thing for you. It is personal because it's stuff just for me, but I will share with you at least one of those versions one of these days. So I'm asking you, take this seriously. We take so many other things seriously in our life. Financial planning, planning to get our car oiled and lubed and checked up, and the gas and water and air pressure for our tires. But why is it we spend more time listening to a mechanic plan for the life of our car than we do planning the habits that really define our lives? Our lives really are made up of the stuff we do consciously and unconsciously on a day-to-day basis. Now, I'm not suggesting you go out and hire a life coach. I don't have any problem with you hiring a life coach. Some people consider me a life coach of sorts. I do advise people, but I'm not trying to drum up business by speaking to you on this subject today. I'm first and foremost interested in you hiring yourself as your own habit planner, your own habit coach, if you're more comfortable with that word. And the reason it's so important is if you don't think about it, you're basically giving all the power to other people, to other cues. You're giving your power to the person who put up the McDonald's logo and the billboard on the way to work that you see. You're giving your power to Mark Zuckerberg, who's going to send you that cue of, oh, your best friend from high school just had this post, you're going to want to check it out. Maybe, but maybe there's better things you could do at 11 in the morning when you're at your peak rest, your peak time for creativity, your peak time to really be productive in your career. Maybe 11 a.m. in the morning is not the best time for you to check up on the person you used to party with in high school. You need to decide, not big corporations, not other friends texting you for that matter. It's not about corporations, it's about you versus the whole rest of the world. I want you to plan your own habits and for you to decide exactly what your habits are. So before you do anything else, I want you to make a decision who's going to be your habit planner. No decision means you have decided. You've decided to make your habit planner be the CEO of Amazon and Netflix and Google and Facebook and Instagram. Your life is on someone else's agenda, making them rich and fulfilled, not you. Select a habit planner, select yourself for the job. I'm TJ Walker. Thanks for joining me. That's the first big segment thought piece we have in hour 2, but it's segment B for the day. Let's check in with some of our friends from Instagram, TikTok, and around social media. I see on TikTok, Penguin has joined us. Is hot dog a sandwich? I did say any questions, didn't I? I think definitionally, a hot dog is a sandwich. Typically you have bread and meat inside. It's typically not the most nutritious type of food because the meat is heavily processed. Depending on the quality of the hot dog, who knows what's going in it, every kind of chemical, fat, rat hairs, all kinds of stuff are in hot dogs. And hey, I eat hot dogs every once in a while. And then the bread is typically the worst type of bread to eat because it's white and processed and devoid of nutrition. And if you look at the wrapper on most hot dog buns, it's going to say sugar is added and all these preservatives. So there's tons and tons of chemicals. So yes, it is a sandwich, and I believe as a habit, if you want to live a healthy, long, disease-free life, you're far better off eating hot dogs very rarely. Not saying never. Summer barbecue, I'll occasionally have one, but it needs to be a rare treat and certainly not a staple of your diet. I don't know if you were looking for that much, Penguin. And part of the text is cut off, Marcel. I'm going to need you to adjust the something on our page for me to see carefully. I hope I didn't get that question entirely wrong. And so, Penguin, I do want to point out, I am not a nutritionist, I'm not a medical doctor, I'm not a PhD in biochemistry. I am someone who is an expert on influence. I've spent the last 35 years of my life training people how to influence their audiences, whether it's 1,000 people, 10,000 people, millions in the media. And now my expertise and main focus is on helping you influence the most important audience of all, yourself. Most of us know we shouldn't eat 5 hot dogs a day and never eat fresh vegetables. The question is, how do we get ourselves to eat fresh vegetables? How do we build that habit of healthy eating on a regular basis rather than eating hot dogs? That's the focus of the show. Anik Mara has joined us. Thanks for stopping by. Haley has joined us on TikTok as well. And Fortune Tribes has joined us on Instagram. Fortune, thanks for joining. Fortune's one of our regulars, and always nice to hear from you, whether it is you leaving comments on my daily thought pieces, thought cards, and 15-second videos, but we're happy to have you here as well. It's always a bit of a contrast. Some people know me as the guy who speaks in sound bites, and you're used to hearing me talk just for 15 seconds. Sometimes it's a bit odd. Now you're seeing me speak for 2 hours a day. I do believe that if you have important messages, You have to get equally comfortable speaking in any format, whether it's text, audio, radio, video, TV, 15 seconds or 2 hours. You've got a great message to share that can help people. It shouldn't matter to you how long or short or what format it's in. You should be able to just put a spotlight on your ideas and bring them to life. Fortune, I want to hear from you because you have your own channel, your own page on Instagram. You post a lot of good stuff. What is the number one habit that you're interested in, intrigued by, either trying to improve yourself or that occupies some of your time thinking about? I'd love to hear from you on that. And by the way, I should point out, we are taking questions, comments from all of you at any point. And I want to give you time. I always come prepared, ready to deliver a lot of specific content, but I want to make this a true community. This is not just the TJ Show. Okay, it is the TJ Show, but it's not really just the TJ Show. It's about you too. And I'm trying to build a community here of people who are brought together by the goal of improving ourselves, of building stronger habits. There's a lot of different schools of thought on personal development, whether it's the secret of just visualization, saying things, affirmations, self-hypnosis, motivation. There's a lot of different tools, tips, NLP. There's a lot of different tricks and tools out there. I happen to believe there's value in all of those things. But to me, I look at life and improvement in life primarily through the lens of daily habits. Because I've found that without good daily habits, you can have the best visualizations, affirmations in the world, you're not going to get any better. You can be really motivated to do stuff, a week later, you'll forget it, you'll lose it. So to me, the single most important building block of success in every other aspect of personal development does relate to building daily habits. And that's the focus of this show. In the news, affirmations for children. This jumped out at me. This is from a website, happierhuman.com. And I have posted a link to this website. It's 105 affirmations for kids for a daily dose of positivity. I wanted to share with you some of these, get your opinions. So if you're trying to encourage your kids about giving love and being loved, here's the recommendation from this website. Things you could say to your kids and have your kids say back to themselves. My friends love me. I have people who love and respect me. I deserve to be happy. I can control my own happiness. Now, some of you may hear these and say, well, this sounds trite, or you're setting your kid up for being disappointed. Others of you may think, well, this is so blindingly obvious, I'd feel stupid telling my kid that. There's a lot of different schools, and some of you may think, well, there's no scientific evidence showing affirmations really have empirical results. You're skeptical. Here's the thing, though. You're already giving affirmations to your kids. If you tell your kid you're a bad kid 10 times a day, that is an affirmation of sort, and they're going to, at some point, take away the lesson that they're a bad kid. You'll never amount to anything. I mean, that's an affirmation a lot of parents have told their children, and then when their child ends up on death row or receiving a life prison sentence, then they lived up to the affirmation. I'm not suggesting you can never criticize your child. Certainly, that's not something I'm advocating. It would be easy to find me as a hypocrite if that were the case. What I am suggesting is giving thought. What is it that is so important? What ideas are so important that they are worthy of repeating? I'll share with you a few more. This next one is on the topic of how to build more self-esteem. I can compare myself only to myself is one affirmation. that is suggested by this site. I'm surrounded by people who love and support me. My opinions matter. I will spread positivity into the world. Again, these are affirmations that are suggested that you give to your kids. Here's some for kids being strong. I am an amazing person. I get better every single day. Now, affirmations don't have to be just for kids. Adults can use them. They are a part of a lot of self-help programs. They're a part of the Alcoholics Anonymous program. You don't have to buy into every part of AA or any other self-development program to find that there could be some value specifically in affirmations. And there's a lot of them out there. I want to share with you just a couple more, but then if you're interested, you can take a look at this. I can let go of things that already hurt. Every problem has a solution. Positive things, nobody would really disagree with them. The question is, are they so important you should repeat them? And are these the ones you want to repeat to your child? Or is there a possibility that somehow it's not a good idea or negativity? That leads us to topic C for today. Topic C. Should you give your child affirmations? Some find them cheesy, some find them trite, some worry that it's setting up a child for unrealistic expectations. I am a big believer that you need to affirm positive values and ideals to your child. It sets an imprint. I speak from personal experience. You can judge whether this was a good idea or not, but I well remember from my earliest days, I don't know when a child first really has memories from childhood, but certainly I couldn't have been more than about 3 years old. I distinctly remember my mother telling me virtually every day, Timmy, that's what she called me, you are the smartest boy in the whole world. You are the smartest boy in the whole universe. And then I would say, well, what about the world? She'd say, you are the smartest boy in the whole world. And I would say, well, what about the universe? And she would say, you are the smartest boy in the whole universe. And I think she also said, you're the most wonderful little boy in the whole world and the whole universe. This was repeated to me again and again and again and again for years. Now, is there the danger that something like this could create megalomania? I don't know. Is there a danger that this could create extreme narcissism? I don't know, but all I can tell you is my entire life, I've had a certain level of confidence that I just don't see in a lot of other people. Now, as it turns out, and I didn't know this for decades, as it turns out, my mother was wrong. I wasn't literally the smartest boy in the whole world or the whole universe. But by the time I'd figured it out, I already had so many successes under my belt as a child. And folks, I've had a lot of failures. Not that everything in my life has been perfect. And, age 39, I was worth about $400 to my name. So I'm not trying to tell you that everything in my life was just extreme success. But I can tell you at an early age, hearing that from my mother, her telling me how much confidence she had in me, and doing it in a repetitive way. It's not enough to say it once. It is the repetitive nature of affirmations that gives them power. There is a school of thought that says the brain cannot differentiate between fact and fiction if you hear it often enough. So if you hear something, it becomes true. For me, it certainly became true that I was the smartest little boy in the world and in the universe. And at some level, it helped. I'm not saying I had other advantages. I had 2 loving parents who were college educated and gave me everything I needed and were there for me, but it also helped. At an early age, I excelled in school excelled in every range of academics, excelled in other areas, president of my student body in school, Eagle Scout at an early age, president of the Honor Society in junior high school. I say this, it sounds like I'm bragging, and for those of you joining us for the first time, believe me, I'm going to talk about all sorts of failures and mess-ups and screw-ups I've had my whole life. I've probably made a lot more mistakes than you have. But when we're talking about just the power of these affirmations in a child's life, I do give a lot of credit to my father was supportive too, but specifically my mother was extraordinarily positive and very liberal in her administrations of daily affirmations, specifically telling me that I was, the most wonderful boy and the smartest boy in the whole universe. I don't think it created any long-term delusional negative impacts. I think I'm smart enough, but I don't think I'm literally the smartest person in the world. But it gave me the confidence, and it made me believe I can do anything. I can set my sights on what I want to do, and I can be what I want in my career. Have I had career setbacks and failure? Yeah, but I've also had a fabulous, fun, interesting career that's taken me to the four corners of the globe and taken me to every kind of castle and kingdom, working with presidents and prime ministers and Miss Universes and writing books and being on every kind of national TV show in the world. It's been a wonderful life, frankly, and I hope to have another 60 good years here too, making it sound like it's the end of my life. No. I do think these positive affirmations as a small child had a big impact on the rest of my life. What I heard the first 3, 4, 5 years of my life, and I don't think they stopped at 5, but certainly what I heard the first 3, 4, 5 years of my life, I think had a tremendous impact on what I did for the next half century in my life. So I want to ask you, are you using affirmations with your child? And if you're not consciously, are you certain you're not unconsciously giving affirmations to your child that might actually be negative? Did your parents give you affirmations? In what were they? If so, what affirmations did you hear on a regular basis? Are you glad they did? Are you doing the same thing with your children? Or are you going the opposite way because you thought it was counterproductive? Certainly people who were beaten or hit or spanked as a kid quite often go the other way and never put a finger on their child. And vice versa sometimes. So sometimes people want to do the exact opposite of what their parents did. For me, I liked growing up in my family, and I've tried to recreate that, or at least what I think were the good things of my own childhood for my daughter. So I give her a tremendous number of affirmations every single day. I had a lot of fun growing up going sledding with my family. I take my daughter sledding yesterday. I had a lot of fun growing up with my dad teaching me to play tennis. I teach my daughter to play tennis. What is it you're teaching your child specifically through affirmations? What are you trying to affirm to them? And are you doing it often enough for it to become a habit? Again, the real beauty of habit, the time-saving power of habit, is through repetition or some other force. You're doing it and you don't even realize it. You don't have to use these executive thought processes to make a decision because you already have the habit. Your body's already doing it. Most of us don't have to make an executive decision. When I get up, am I going to go to the bathroom to use the toilet? If you need to go, you just go. It's a habit. You don't typically have to make an executive decision. Am I going to brush my teeth today? Typically, you just do it at a set period of time. You have an identity as, I'm someone who just brushes my teeth a couple times a day, or first thing when I get up, before I go to bed, maybe after lunch. It forms your identity. The affirmations your parents give you form your identity. Doesn't mean you can't overcome it, but you have to overcome what they form. The affirmations you tell your children form grooves in the brain. Those grooves in the brain turn into habits, whether we realize it or not. What habits are so important to you that you want to affirm those habits and those mindsets with your own child? Let me know. I'm TJ Walker. Thanks for joining me. This is The Habit Influencer. It is Monday, January 27th, 2020. We are live taking your questions, comments. Let's head on over to, I think we have some friends on Instagram and TikTok. And let's see, Sai has joined us. Sai, glad to have you with us. Thanks. And Sai, what I want to know from you is if you could train anything, any subject whatsoever, because I know you want to be a trainer, and you could be trained an ungodly amount of money, let's say $100,000 a day, but you had to train on this subject for the rest of your life, what subject would you be training people on? I want to know from you, Sai. Remco writes as well. Ajas has joined us from Instagram. Penguin has joined us on TikTok. What's the best advice you ever received? Oh, I missed that part. That was before you wrote whether a hot dog was a sandwich. I mean, I think the best advice I ever received, to me, came from reading a lot of different philosophers, Bertrand Russell in particular, where I took away one piece of advice, which is to think for yourself. Listen to others. Read other books. Listen to other experts. Attend speeches from a variety of different places. Religious, anti-religious, philosophical. Get as many different ideas as possible. But then think for yourself. To me, that's the single biggest piece of advice. And I realize it's not quite as dramatic as me saying, well, my Uncle Bill said to me one day, some one soundbite nugget. It's not quite that dramatic, but that's how my brain has worked. What's the best piece of advice for you? And Marcel, somehow something got scattered in our comments because I realize now that was an old comment which I had missed before the sandwich question.
I think you said that later. I think you said that later after the hot dog comment.
Okay. And I'm seeing one from Dramathon. I believe affirmations for children is a great idea. First of all, do you have children? I don't mean to be presumptuous. Some of you, especially on TikTok, are very young, and some of you may just not have children. But if you have children, do you give them affirmations? And if so, what are they? Drama says, a big part of confidence for me is knowing I can recoup from failure. Everyone has failures. I certainly had failures as a child. I'll never forget once I was in the second grade and I went to a school that was big on discipline, that was the main thing, discipline, a public school in Charlotte, North Carolina. The teacher had said, all right, put your books away, we're now going to go to art class or something like that. And I saw that my friend next to me hadn't seen. I said, hey, Jimmy, teacher says put your books away. The teacher saw me talking and said, you were talking and you didn't have privileges to speak. So your punishment is you now have to write every single word in the spelling book 50 times. I mean, that sounded like something that would take me years to do. I told my mother this, and she thought that was just a ridiculous, absurd, outlandish thing. And she went to school the next day, met with the teacher, and got the sentence commuted. So the lesson there, I hope, is not, complain to your parents anytime there's a dispute with the teacher and have your parents get you out of a jam. I hope that's not the lesson. But the lesson I did get was, I have an advocate. Something bad happens to me, I've got my number one fan in life and my number one supporter, my parents and specifically my mother. I've got someone I can count on. So one of the things I tell my own daughter pretty much every night is, I'm your number one fan. You can always count on me. I believe in you. I tell her that every single day. And that's the lesson I got from that, what happened to me back in second grade in probably 1971. So that's something I think is very important. Let's see what other comments we have. Dental Alerts is back with us, says hello. Thanks so much for joining us. And Drama does write about knowing how to recoup from failure. Yeah, the reason I talked about that is that was a failure of sorts for me. I was, even in second grade, I had this image of myself as the good student, the successful student, the obedient student. And here my teacher is giving me just this tremendous level of punishment, write every word in the spelling book 50 times. It seemed like a failure at the time. Now it seems laughable and kind of absurd the teacher would do that for such a minor infraction. Let's switch over to, we have the other side of we have a new format today because we have a lot of different channels. Marceau, I think I missed some of the comments that were on the left side of the screen, unless those were just duplicates.
No, they're...
So on the left side of the screen, I see, that's simply commenting, or that's adding up people's comments, I guess. And
it just shows what everybody's writing.
Okay.
Over here on the right is where everybody's actually
all right, and it says that Drama has added one. Can you scroll down and we can check? So it says, and Marceau is correctly pointing out, just leave your comments here. Happy to share those with the audience. Drama says, I don't have children, but I think if I had them as a child, I wouldn't need them as much now. I think you're saying it would be nice to have them as a child, or you did have them as a child, but you wouldn't need them as much now. Maybe, maybe not. I still find affirmations are a good thing. One thing I started fairly recently, as I mentioned to you at the beginning of this broadcast, of just getting up in the morning and saying, I'm going to have a great day, and a quick fist pump. It takes 2 seconds to say that, but it just gets you on the figurative right side of the bed, getting out of the bed. Something else I've recently started doing, and again, I'm not telling you to do this. Sometimes I share with you things and I think, this is a great idea, everyone should do it, the science is behind it. Sometimes I share with you things I'm experimenting with. I don't know where the science is. I'm not doing anything that I think could in any way be dangerous, but I'm not giving you a strong recommendation. One of the things I've started relatively recently was an affirmation at night before I go to bed, where right before I go to sleep, I just say, I'm going to have a great night, sleep, and it was a great day, and I'm going to have a great 8 hours sleep, fist pump. Again, it takes 2 seconds. I've only been doing that for about 8 days, and I can tell you that I've had almost a perfect night's sleep in 8 days. I'm not going to make the jump and say the two are related. I'm not going to say it's a causal relationship. At this stage, it's correlated, and I really can't imagine how anything negative can happen by me spending a couple of seconds at the end of a day, right before I go to sleep, just thinking, it's been a great day, and I'm now going to have a great 8 hours of sleep. It's hard. If I were telling you, take these pills with all these green nutrients and shark cartilage that I ground up in some South American factory with no inspections, and just trust me, then I would say you better be skeptical about what I'm saying. Especially if I'm trying to sell you this, green algae stuff at an exorbitant fee. And I'm not going to be selling you supplements of any kind. But a simple affirmation that you can say in 2 seconds to put a smile on your face, the last thing you're thinking of before you go to sleep, or the first thing you think of when you get out of bed. I don't feel like I'm taking a big risk of credibility by saying, try it, I'm getting some good vibes from it. That's not all I do to lead a successful, healthy, happy, productive life. It's a tiny, 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 tiny piece. But why not use every possible little piece to build your life a little better and to build stronger habits, to build healthier habits, and to be more fulfilled? So I will give recommendations like that from time to time. Let's check in on Facebook. Peggy says, I use positive affirmations on both of my children. I had loving parents, but never grew up with affirmations. I think they are important. Today, one daughter is a business owner and one is a doctor. Well, Peggy, congratulations. It sounds like you were a good parent and a successful parent. And it's good that you grew up with positive, loving parents. You don't have to, you don't have to grow up with affirmations. But I think, as you can see, you felt better giving your own daughters that. It's like you don't have to grow up being breastfed. Most doctors today who follow Western science practices would say, all things being equal, it's much healthier for children to be breastfed. Well, I'm of a generation where people in the United States just didn't really do that, to my knowledge. Now, my mother's passed away, I can't ask her, but from what I was told, just nobody my generation was breastfed. I don't think that I've had a horrible, unhealthy life because of that. So it's not about you do one thing wrong and you're in bad shape. But what I'm looking for here in this course, or in this show, in this program, this community, this live stream, is to give you every possible advantage. Just even a little extra 0.5% here and there. Sometimes just an extra 0.1% can help you go from here to here. And long term, it makes a huge, huge difference. Ahmed writes in as well, says, hi TJ, thanks for joining us. And if we missed your comments, feel free to repost, because we are going back, my colleague Marceau, our producer, is sort of going back and forth between 10 and almost 20 different social media platforms at once. So I apologize if we lost you. Probably the safest place for you to leave a post, and we will see it, go to my YouTube channel. If you just type in youtube.com and search for TJ Walker Personal Development Trainer, you'll find my YouTube page and you'll see the live stream there, and you can put comments right there. Now, if you're watching this show after the live stream has ended, feel free to post comments or go to any one of the social media platforms and leave a comment, and chances are I will answer your question on the program the next day. I want to do something a little bit different in today's program and share with you something that I call just TJ's raw ideas. This is just stuff I think about because I think about habits all day long. It's unrefined. I'm not advocating this yet. I'm not selling a course with this concept, but I just wanted to share with you an idea that has been germinating inside me just for the weekend. I mean, it just popped into my head. You may have seen this before, but when I look at other blogs about habits, books, I don't really see it anywhere. Obviously, the idea of marketing having an influence is not radical. McDonald's, Coca-Cola, all the advertisers in the world spend about $500 billion on marketing. And a lot of that marketing is video. TV ads traditionally has been where the biggest spends are. Now video ads on YouTube. Powerful images in a video format. Magazine ads, print, image, billboards, image, Coca-Cola icons. And you've heard me talk about this power of advertising, which is why I'm an advocate of making your own audio ad for yourself, this thing I call the Selfie Speak program. But it occurred to me, everybody in the world has a digital photography studio in their own phone. Why not use it? So something that I'm about to do probably in the next week, and I'll share with you the results. I'm sort of a human guinea pig on habits here. So what I'm considering doing is taking a picture of every single positive habit that I want to do in a day, and maybe a 1 or 2 word description, and then uploading it into a program that puts all the pictures together and runs it like a little video. There's another word for that. Marcel, what do you call that when it's like a photo album and it runs all the pictures together, like an autoplay?
Oh, a slideshow.
A slideshow. I'm thinking of creating a slideshow that walks me through every step of the day. So for example, One of the 100 items on my daily habits checklist is simply start the day off drinking a large glass of water. So one of the things I'm going to do, and I'll probably have Marceau take the pictures, is I'm going to hold myself, hold a cup of water, drinking, take a picture of it, and then just drink water. And the picture I'm only going to put up for 1 second. So I have about 100 habits that I work on every day that I try to do. And a lot of them are as simple as drink a glass of water, do 20 jumping jacks, do as many pull-ups as I can do. And it's only 6, but I do pull-ups every single day. And my concept is I'm going to take a picture of myself doing the actual habits I want to see done. And then I'm going to create a slideshow that has the picture and that has a 1 or 2 word text if it's not patently obvious to me what it is. So I figure, and I'll set it to some of the nice music, perhaps the music you hear right now. So I'm going to set this to music, create a slideshow, and it's got to be short. It's only going to be 100 seconds. So just a little more than a minute and a half. And I'm going to watch this every single day. And I'm going to give it a try for at least a few months and see what it works. So I wouldn't call this selfie speak programming. This is, I guess, just selfie programming. There are pictures of me doing the things I want. And I'm trying to program my own brain to take the actions you want. This is not going to replace the selfie speak audio. The beauty of the audio is I can really go into detail, nuance about how I want to program my life and my daily habits. But the power, the imagery of me seeing, first thing in the morning when I get up, to see myself drinking water, to see myself physically doing the push-ups, to see myself holding a book and reading it, I think will be even more powerful and will just drive that home. I mean, that's the concept behind Coca-Cola. They want their logo image everywhere. And they don't care if you don't drink Coke or not. They know if every single eyeball in the world sees images for Coke often enough, after a while, no one else is going to ask for other brands of cola. When's the last time you asked for a Tab or an RC Cola or a generic cola if somebody at a restaurant asked you, what do you want to drink? I mean, personally, someone who cares about your health, I hope you're not asking for any cola. But if you are asking for cola, chances are you're asking for a Coca-Cola. Because we've seen the iconic label, the image, the logo, the billboards, the TV ad, everywhere for so long. This is a chance to basically advertise to yourself, your own brain. It's another form of advertising. And I simply have never seen anyone do this. So I'm going to try this myself. I'll be a guinea pig. I may come back to you and say, well, it seemed like a good idea, and I had every intention of watching it. But after the first week and a half, I just kept coming up with excuses, and I didn't watch it. And it's now been a month and a half, and I never watched it after the first day. If that's what I tell you, then I think that's useful information too. I'm basically telling you this was a waste of time. Don't try it. I saved you time. But my guess is that by putting a little music, by turning into a slideshow, by compressing it so that I can be done with the whole thing in less than 2 minutes, that'll be an easy thing to just click off, and that'll be one of my to-do items every day, is to watch my own selfie programming. I guess that's what we'll call it now, selfie programming. There's pictures of me, and I'm programming myself. And this could be a nice complement to the selfie speak programming. So that's something I have in the works. And I'm just, as we're sitting here talking and have a conversation, I'm coming up with new ideas. So I'm not trying to market anything to you or sell anything to you or convince you. I'm trying to convince myself. So my question to you is, have you ever heard of anyone doing this? Certainly we've heard of the idea of a visual reminder. And people have said, put a picture of yourself looking thin and beautiful on your refrigerator to remind you to eat in a way that's healthy. So that's not new. What I'm talking about is specifically using pictures of yourself doing the habits you want to do, or to not do the habits you don't want to do. Have you heard of that before? Number one. Number two, what do you think of the idea? And number three, are you willing to try it yourself? So let me know. Post comments on that. We do have time for you. We're coming up towards the end of the show, and there's still some top news stories I want to go over, but I do want you to think about that and think about it overnight. I've been thinking about it. You don't have to let me know now, but I want to know, is this something you would be willing to try? And especially if I could make it easy for you. If we could, working with Marceau, come up with some special app on our website where all you did is load up your pictures and it came back as a nice photo album in less than 2 minutes with your words and music, would you then watch it? And there may be a ton of other programs out there that will already do it more easily. Give that some thought. I'm always looking for ways of making it easier for you to program your specific habits that you want. My big frustration in reading so many books about habits and going to so many blogs is they're always so descriptive about how we do have habits and where our bad habits came from and what happens to these college students when you promise this M&M for this behavior. But they're very weak about the specific, tactical, practical tools you can use right now to help you give the positive habits you want in every aspect of your life. It's always piecemeal. So that's one of my big areas of focus on this show is how do we not be like all the other bloggers and authors and experts on habits, and they all have good ideas, and I read them all. But how can we focus in an even tighter way on the solution? If there's a whole bunch of good habits you need, if you really need to eat a lot more vegetables and fruit and eat a lot fewer hot dogs and chocolate chip cookies, you already know what the problem is. The solution is how, and you know what the solution is, eating lots more vegetables. What you don't necessarily know is how do you change your habits in the fastest, easiest, most effective way. That's what I'm looking for. That's the focus of this show. That's the focus of my online courses. That's the focus of upcoming books and everything else we're about. We're almost out of time, and I wanted to just jump into one other story that caught my eye. And this is from a new survey that came out on something called lithub.com. That's short for Literary Hub. And it does have some bit of good news. According to Literary Hub, in 2019, more Americans went to the library than went to the movies. Seems shocking. The U.S. film industry generated $40 billion last year, but libraries are still wildly popular. According to this survey, the average Americans went on average to libraries 10.5 trips to the library in 2019. That was slightly higher than the number of times they went to a movie theater. How often do you go to libraries? Now that I have a daughter, we go to libraries a lot, in part because there's social programming, there are events going on for the library, in part because we try to foster a love of reading for her and giving her as much exposure to libraries as possible. For large sections of my life, when I lived in Manhattan, this sounds awful to say this, when I was poor, I went to the library all the time because I couldn't afford buying books or renting videos. Once my business took off and I had plenty of money, I bought all my books on Amazon. It saved time. And the libraries in New York City are, this is back in the 90s and early 2000, were just not as attractive as they are now. So let me hear from you. And if not today, then tomorrow. I want to say a special goodbye to our friends on Instagram. We're about to leave you. We are coming up to close to the end of the hour. So thank you so much to all of our friends on Instagram. And if you do feel like you ever signed off early, you can always go back to any of our social media pages and check it and see if you missed anything, see if you can reconnect. If you don't like getting cut off on Instagram, then I would say the easy solution to that is just connect with us through YouTube, Facebook, and some of the other platforms. That would be
One more comment on TikTok.
Oh, let's hop over to TikTok. Sean, where is the comment? Which one? Is this from?
It's Goman.
Goma. So Goma says, if I want to go live, I'm scared that kids will send gifts, and I don't want that. Are you talking about doing a live show on TikTok? I'm not quite sure what you're referring to. Says, I have a big question for you. I guess that was the big question. What do you do if you're afraid about going live? I can tell you, speaking live, giving a speech to people, doing live TV, doing Facebook Live, what I'm doing now, scares most people to death, which I love because it means I have a lot less competition. It's just talking. Don't be afraid. You can come up with all sorts of excuses as to why now isn't a good time, or you need a better camera, or too many people will send you presents. There's 1,000,001 excuses about why you can't speak to people live in person or in the media, and it all comes down to fear. And at some level, it comes down to selfishness, thinking about, oh, poor little me. I want you to focus on people you can help. Right now, I'm focused on you. The fact that, my hair doesn't look perfect, and this is the same shirt I had on Friday, I'm just not going to worry about that, because I'm convinced I have some ideas that at least some of you will find useful and helpful to create better habits in your life. One great habit I urge on all of you, start on time and end on time, which is what we do right here every day. Thanks so much. See you tomorrow.
This is a Chicken Meat production.